Welcome to Think Smart with TMFG. I'm Mike Connon. This is Carlo Cansino, Senior Financial Advisor with the McClelland Financial Group of Assante Capital Management. So, Carlo, we were at a conference last week. It was pretty interesting.
Yes, it was very interesting, and not too shabby being in sunny Santa Monica for that conference.
Yeah, once a year, we use a fund company called Dimensional Fund Advisors, and they have a chance for us to sit down with some very knowledgeable people from different places, Chicago School of Business. Sometimes some are actually Nobel laureates that you get to hear their opinions on. And the focus of this conference was about AI and artificial intelligence. And it was interesting because it gets you thinking. You know, I guess our closest thing that we can think of with AI is ChatGPT, right?
Right.
Because we all use it and our kids use it, and it's becoming so commonplace. It's almost become the Google of yesteryear now.
Oh yeah, no, and it's great that you mentioned that. This is a conference that we go to that has 70, 80 advisors, and we're all talking about AI and how we're using it in our practices. And the one common thread was, we use it not to to make our jobs easier. It's essentially to make things more efficient and make things easier for us to get through.
It's definitely a big piece of the future of being a financial advisor.
Absolutely.
The interesting thing is when we look further into it, sometimes when people it's a very powerful tool, but like any tool, if it's in the wrong hands, it can be very dangerous.
For sure.
And I was thinking of an example of this. Everyone knows from my previous podcast, I've been doing renovations on a house. And at one point, staircase was going down one side of my house. I wanted to change the direction of the staircase to the basement, but it involved cutting out a big patch of a concrete wall to create a new opening.
Right.
And it was old cinder blocks, and this was a bit of an undertaking, but I'm pretty handy. So I asked a friend, I said, do you have a saw? And he said, yeah, I have a big concrete saw. And he dropped this thing over. I could barely lift it out of the car. So I get this saw out, and I started to see if I could use it. It was about 50 pounds, and I could barely lift it over my head.
Oh my goodness!
So along the way, it was funny. I have one of my best friends is this guy Al, and Al's a great character, and he's an older guy. He's very in shape, but he's in his 70s, and he was
very strong.
Yeah, but he was a mason back in the 70s, and he did that for a living, and he really went. And he said, no problem, I'll come out to your house.
Hands like a catcher's mitt.
Yes. So he takes his big hand, he takes a saw that I couldn't get out of the car, lifts it overhead, and starts to cut the hole out of the wall.
Right.
And within about 20 minutes or half an hour, he had a full hole cut out, and it was perfect. And the other thing is, once he gets that done, he says, are you putting a lintel in? I go, no, why? He says, well, you can't just cut out a wall and have nothing holding up the whole structure. But we have to get a steel lintel, put that in. So he continued to cut out more and get it in, and we fitted a lintel in the opening and had it all done perfectly at the end of the day. But what it made me realize is now this saw is an amazing tool. Like you can cut through literally a cinder block wall in literally 5 minutes.
Right.
And it's with an expert, it's probably a great advancement of what they can do.
For sure.
But in the hands of me, the amateur, all it is a risk to me to hurt myself, hurt others, and create a bad structure. And this is very similar to when people get in over their head using things like ChatGPT without expertise.
Right.
Because although I had the tool that would cut a hole through a wall, I didn't have the knowledge to know how to support it and make sure it was safe afterwards. And I probably didn't have the right ability to use the tool in the right way. So we find this a lot of times with ChatGPT because it will answer any question you give it. I've never heard it say, I don't know yet.
Right.
You've used it before. Have you ever? What are your experiences?
Absolutely. I've used it in the past, and there is a disclaimer that says, ChatGPT can make errors. So you have to use it and take a grain of salt. You can't ask it a question and take it at face value. You have to understand where the information is coming from and not necessarily rely on it to be gospel.
Well, it's funny because the internet, using it, I rely a lot on YouTube.
Right.
It's another example of something that started to become big years ago. But the thing that really separates YouTube is if I want to fix something, I always go to YouTube.
Sure.
And I get full details on, I forget what I was doing this weekend, but again, I was changing the carburetor in my leaf blower.
Okay.
Right. So I went through, it's a still leaf blower. So I go onto YouTube, and there's a guy who walks you through step by step everything you have to take off and goes through all that. And he's not a professional, but he's someone who's done a lot of it, and sometimes they are professionals.
Right.
But the difference is it didn't just give me an answer.
Right.
It went through step by step on what I had to do, all the pieces I had to take off, it even knew all the mistakes I'm going to make, because the guy who's done it has
Yeah.
made them mistakes before.
100 times,
So as
right?
he's saying,
Yeah.
as you're going to take off this washer, make sure to get a magnet there, otherwise you lose the washer. And like, hey, he's right, I lost the
Right.
washer,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So they've been through that. It walks you through the actual experience and makes you better at doing things. Problem with ChatGPT, it just gives you an answer.
Right.
And the answer is not necessarily right all the time.
Doesn't know the experience you've had with it before, doesn't know how strong you are or how much background knowledge you have about the question that you asked.
And the problem that's going on is it takes people that are non-professionals and it makes them answer things with full confidence.
Right.
And the confidence people think came from research and knowledge and experience. In reality, that confidence came from, entering into ChatGPT and get an answer that basically just scour the internet to find the most common responses to
Right.
something,
Right.
rather than what's right or what wrong. And I began to call them the ChatGPT idiots. These people who appear to be very smart, but is based on a false premise in there.
For sure.
So there's danger in this. And what I always tell people is make sure ChatGPT is mind blowing what it can do.
Yeah.
And
Wonderful tool.
we find that I just wrote an article and I gave it to you. I read out my article to ChatGPT. I said, can you go and correct all the grammar on this? Can you make this accurate article? It came back very well written, better than I could have ever written anything.
Right.
A great tool, but I had to give it the information to start.
Right.
And the key is to have someone that understands how to use it so it can give the right level of inputs rather than just go and ask it a, let's say, open-ended question and take its answer as gospel to
Right.
the truth.
Right.
That's what I guess we went to make sure to let everyone know. As you use this, it's great in the experts and the professionals' hands, but make sure to use that expert and professional to get the right answers.
Yeah, definitely.
That brings us to the end of an episode. Thank you very much and have a great day.